What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful fight fans across the world? And let's get straight into my reaction and breakdown of the Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal fight card last night, which, if I'm just keeping it short and sweet, was pretty decent. Out of all the boxing cards that I've seen, usually you're just there for the main event, but this one had a couple decent fights before it. It wasn't that bad, and the fights were pretty good. Like, people were going at it. It wasn't no boring fights because, actual boxers, they're just so good, and they just have such good defense that the fights get kind of boring. Like, there was a Shakur fight happening at the same time, and I already know that was a snooze fest because Shakur is fighting. But regardless, let's get into if Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal was a robbery, and I'm going to break it down right now. So we can see total punches landed, 151 for Diaz, 182 for Masvidal. Total thrown, 740, oh my god, 650 for Masvidal. That's impressive for both of them, I'm not going to lie. And, jabs landed, he out-jabbed him. Jabs thrown, look, 100 more jabs. Insane. Power landed, 115 to 152. These statistics don't tell the whole story of the fight because this was how the fight was going. Masvidal was backing up. Nate Diaz was pressuring him the whole time, taking all of Masvidal's best shots. The most success Masvidal was having in this fight were his body shots because that's the way to beat Nate Diaz. If he's not going to go out from you punching him in the head, your only choice is to go to the body because you cannot survive somebody just destroying your liver and all your organs like that. That shit will shut you down no matter what. You will get shut down. Doesn't matter how good your chin is. Like, your liver cannot take that much punishment. Your whole body will just shut down on its own. But most of the rounds were just Nate Diaz backing Masvidal up, and he was just eating the shots. The reason why Masvidal didn't win, I think Nate Diaz might have edged it out by like a round or two. The judges were off, let me just say. They gave Nate Diaz like 4 rounds over Masvidal or something crazy like that, one of the judges. The other one was like 2 rounds, which made more sense, but still. I think he was just up by 1 round, or this fight was a draw. It was like really close to being a draw because it was a close fight. Nate Diaz would just back up Masvidal the whole time, and then Masvidal would just rip to Nate Diaz's body. He would rip him. Oh my god, he would rip to the body and then go up top. It was crazy. He was like actually putting it on Nate Diaz. It was a really good fight. But regardless, I do not think it was a robbery. I think you can't call all close fights robberies. This was a close fight, and it's really hard to score boxing because there's 10 rounds, but I think 6 rounds, 5 rounds, I think it was a draw. If you ask me if I scored it, it was a draw. Give them 5 5s. But regardless, let's get into the rest of the card and some of the fights that were actually pretty decent. So the first one I actually cared about was Amanda Vargas versus Sean Garcia. Oh my god, Amanda Vargas embarrassed Sean Garcia. He was emoting on him, he was dancing on him, he was doing the Anderson Silva to him in the boxing ring. It was crazy. He walked out with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia had more hype coming into that fight than his own brother, and his brother was the one fighting. It was pretty wild. And Ryan Garcia said a lot of crazy stuff about this fight on Twitter, like he'll knock Amanda Vargas and him and his brothers out after this, which was pretty funny. But he did TKO Sean Garcia. He was beating him up the whole time. Sean Garcia just had nothing for him. He had no power. He just had the speed, but it's not the same if you don't have that left hook like Ryan Garcia to drop somebody. But regardless, let's get into the next fight. Carmel Martin, or I don't know how to say his name, Martin, whatever, versus Nikolai Buzolin. Carmel, we're not even going to call him that. We're going to call him Mini Tank Davis because that's what he is. He's a mini tank, alright? He literally looks like Tank, like just a mini version of him, but he doesn't fight the same. Tank is out there, he'll give you the first 4 rounds. He'll give you the first 5 rounds. You take it off of him, but he'll come and just catch you, knock you out. Carmel Martin was totally different beast. He was putting it on Nikolai since the beginning of the fight. He was ripping him everywhere, so fast, such clean combos. He's gonna be a future superstar boxer for sure. But on to the next fight, Chris Avila versus Anthony Pettis. This was literally watching Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal, but the bootleg version. This was like, we have Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz at home. That's what it was. Anthony Pettis, Chris Avila, literally, and they had the same coaches and everything as Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal, so it was literally like a clone copy of the fight. Chris Avila was doing pretty good. He was just doing the Nate Diaz, just pressuring Anthony Pettis the whole time, and Anthony Pettis would get a good shot and randomly. He would just get that good, like, tough shot, and that's what Jorge Masvidal was doing, even though Masvidal did a way better job of it. But regardless, it was a pretty decent fight. It wasn't bad. It was watchable. It was watchable. But the co-main event, oh my god, that was a snooze fest. I almost went to sleep because of that, and I almost didn't watch Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal because of that. And let's look at these judges right here. 95-95, 97-93, 98-92. How are they off by this much? How is it possible to be off by this much? It's insane. Boxing is just so insane. 95-95. That's the correct scorecard right there, in my opinion. And also, we had, I'm going to search it up right now just to show you guys. We had Sugar Sean O'Malley commentating the whole time. And honestly, people love to clown Sugar Sean O'Malley for his skills on the mic. But he did a pretty good job last night. He was saying a lot of smart stuff. He was throwing in those jokes here and there. He did a good job. He impressed me. I thought he was going to be there, be quiet, be his normal Sean O'Malley self, like, but he did good. But regardless, it was a pretty good boxing card. I didn't enjoy it like I watch UFC events. Like, I didn't enjoy it that much. But it was watchable. It was watchable. Let's just say that. But regardless, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.